You have what is called the service level agreement, with all service providers. The Consumer Affairs actually of NCC has required every service provider they have forwarded their SLAs. And then also, even when you're taking a service, there are certain things that are written there, some terms and conditions. But the point is that people don't read these things. Each time you go for a service, you should be able to ask. People should also be able to ask what their rights are for the service that they're getting. Because people really don't bother, here. But you see, in developed countries, people will read every line. They will read everything there in the terms and conditions of provision of service. And then once there's a breach, somebody now goes to put their foot down. Look, I have been shortchanged, and I will need that this be redressed. So what we are actually saying, and we say this in most of our consumer parliament outings, that people should demand for their rights from their service provider. It's just like any other service. So
it's your right to get a refund when you experience a drop call?
Yes, if you're able to prove to the service provider that, look, I've been shortchanged, you can ask for your right. And then if you don't get it, then you can now complain to the Consumer Affairs Bureau of the NCC. And we're using this network also to say that. We have our customer care, consumer complaint line, 0800 call NCC. That's the number people can call, and then they can get redress. If they have not gotten what one, you should be able to prove really that there was a short change. And then once there is that proof, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get it.
Okay, let's take a moment for the headlines. Melinda Kenlami is standing by, but we'll be back to take a look at some more issues about telecom service, the quality of networks. Don't forget to keep your questions coming through. Thank you, Melinda. Well, back to this NCC questions. NCC was supposed to conduct KPI test. I think it was the last quarter of last year.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Was that done?
It was done. The tests are being analyzed at the moment.
Okay, so afterwards, any network that falls short of that, another form of fine or sanction, what happens to them?
Yes, if we discover that people have not met their KPIs, because usually what happens is that you request the organization, the service provider, to explain the reasons why the KPIs have not been met. If there are substantial issues that led to the KPIs not being met, then the Commission can probably give a waiver. But if there's no justification, of course, yes, that's a sanction.
But some of the viewers are actually appreciating you for, I don't know if it's you or the operators that made SMS cheap, according to them, across board. That's in-depth findings of the person's name. But the question now is unsolicited SMSs. Akinwale Kayode says he gets unsolicited promo text messages up till now, but hardly gets a reminder SMS when his BB subscription is about to expire.
Well, I think maybe it varies from network to network. It depends probably on who the service provider is. I think some service providers inform their customers when the service is about to expire. It also depends on the platform that he has his service. Yes, the issue of unsolicited SMS has been a matter that has been on table for discussion for a long time. And there are a number of other government agencies actually involved. Consumer Protection Council is there. The Lottery Regulatory Commission is also there. But it's something that is a phenomenon, not just in Nigeria, but in other parts of the world. You have issues of unsolicited SMSs, that people are receiving. And in these days of internet, sometimes you have traffic coming from different kinds of places, where you really, some of them are virtual, some of them you can't really point at the source where this is coming from. But we have told the service providers who have content, because you have content service providers as well, who use the platforms of the networks to push out the information. And we have told the networks to ensure that those of them that have agreement with them, that they don't push out SMSs without that are not approved by them. And I think the issue is still being addressed, and the Commission is looking at maybe coming out with guidelines really that would guide that and sanctions.
All right. What exactly is the NCC's policy? Is it that you instructed telecom firms to charge 4 naira for off-net domestic SMS?
Yes.
And does it also include international, SMS?
No. It's international it has different kind of administration. This is just for local, for domestic SMSs.
Okay, so on-net is up to them to decide. Does it bother on off-net and on-net SMS charges?
Both.
Okay, do you also have a problem of capacity in terms of enforcement?
Not really capacity in terms of, maybe capacity because of the vast nature of the country, in terms of size. But even for the KPI measurements, the Commission engaged a number of consultants for different parts of the country where they would conduct drive tests and submit their report to the Commission, because there's no way the Commission alone would have been able to cover the entire nation. Nigeria is a huge nation, it's huge. So we have consultants working for the Commission to drive tests in different parts of the country.
Most of them local?
Oh yes, absolutely, yes. Most of them. But of course, because of the expertise required, of course, usually companies like this will have technical partners, and because the equipment is not from here, the equipment are imported, so they would have technical partners that would be partnering with them, in doing this. But that's how we're able to get our test drive results. We have the consultants that do the drive test. We also have our own equipment for that. So what we do is that we look at the result coming from the consultant and that coming from our own engineers and see, how it compares. And then, we just take the readings and analyze them and come out with our reports. But in terms of, we have professional staff at the Commission. I can tell you that the Commission can boast of excellent professionals that can match any others in any part of the world. But we have to firm out certain assignments, because really you're looking at an industry that has about 110 million subscribers. So that there's a lot in terms of resource requirement to be able to handle certain things. So what we now do is that consultants are used to handle certain things, but the Commission, of course, supervises and makes sure that it meets the guidelines and our expectations.
The reason, the information for this question is because a host of people think that because this is a relatively new industry, not the telecoms industry, but the mobile part of this particular industry, you wonder